Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to talk about Project A. Now, some of you guys may already know what this is, some of you guys may be following it quite closely, but some of you may be like, I have no idea what that is. And that's fair enough. Project A is of course a working title. It is like it's not even a working title, it's just a code name for it. Basically, a little while back you guys might remember that Riot announced a whole load of new games. Of course they're, best known for League of Legends, but of course in that announcement they also spoke about their upcoming card game, which is obviously now in playable beta, Runeterra, really enjoying that one. They also announced that they were working on a fighting game, they have an isometric style ARPG, there's lots of cool things they're working on, and in addition to that they also have a competitive sort of tactical shooter with like classes and abilities called Project A, tentatively, obviously. And since then of course they've been working hard on all those different projects, and some people have had a chance to play the game. They've of course been, going to play it, going to kind of give feedback and just sort of experience different things like that. So since that announcement, there has of course been little bits of information that have sort of dropped in here and there, and there's been more frequent information a lot more recently. So what I thought we'd do today is tie it all up and talk about basically everything we know right now. A lot of this information of course comes from people that have had a chance to play the game, people like Henry G CSGO, WTCN, Nuki, and the gameplay trailer and things like that, or forum posts. So we basically collated all this information to try and give you the most up-to-date look at exactly what Project A is. So if you guys are excited for this, or this is sort of your kind of game, then definitely let us know in the comments down below. Hit that like button. Of course, stick around because it is a game that we ourselves are looking forward to trying out. So as and when we find out more information, as and when we get a chance to go hands on ourselves, you can expect more stuff on the channel. But let's start at the top. What exactly is Project A? Assuming you have heard nothing before. Top level, it is a tactical shooter, but with characters that have abilities, so sort of think like hero-like characters a la Overwatch. However, it also appears to have an economy a little bit like Counter-Strike, and when you actually look at the actual gameplay for it, you can of course get that feel. There's definitely a very recognizable CSGO-like feel to it, but of course you have the added flair of throwing in like characters with abilities, which is actually a really, really interesting aspect. You can tell with that sort of, Counter-Strike precision, they're obviously kind of going for that competitive market, so there's definitely that much to look forward to. And from what the people that have kind of, been close to the project have said so far, it is looking very likely that it will be a free-to-play game, not pay-to-win, but it is looking like it will work around a free-to-play model, and they're speculating that it will be launching at some point this year, which, obviously makes sense because when Riot showed off some of their initial stuff, some of the projects look a lot further along, like the fighting game and the isometric ARPG. I feel like they're going to be quite far out, but some of them, obviously Runeterra was very close to being done, and this one does look like it's much further along. So 2020, we could be looking at this maybe sort of towards the end of the year, something like that. And supposedly they'll also be on or around March 2nd, supposedly the upcoming NDA will lift, which will of course then bring with it a whole slew of new information. So as and when that does lift and we find out more, you can rest assured we'll keep you guys up to date. But let's talk about what we know. So let's start with game modes. Currently it is 5v5 in matches with rounds that are best out of 24 rounds instead of a total of 30 like in CSGO, meaning like in CS you of course need 16 rounds to win, while in Project A it is just 12 rounds to win. The current mode we know is Diffuse, so much like in CS, there's planting a bomb at a certain site, which the other team then defends and diffuses if planted. There are 2 bomb sites to defend and attack. However, unlike something like CSGO, it has a preparation phase in which certain areas on the map are actually locked off and only open after a set time, which enables 2 teams to set up within their side of the map, which is actually kind of cool. Obviously, you have the kind of tactical aspect of that. I don't know if any of you guys play like Bleeding Edge recently, when you play some of the capture modes, some of the points aren't active all the time, so you obviously have chances to like move around the map and position your team and plan for when those things will activate. So that of course makes for some rather interesting gameplay flow. Obviously, once you get to know the map better, WTCN spoke about how when there are like side entrances in the preparation phase, you can literally go up and sit by the side entrance, but you obviously can't go any further. But of course, once they do open up, it does then mean that when the round starts, it can immediately turn into a gunfight. So you're going to have some pretty hectic phases off the back of that preparation. It's interesting as well because in something like CSGO, once the round starts, you begin at spawn, and after a short timer, to obviously buy your items, you can then move and the enemy can move with no restricted areas on the map. However, this means with the preparation phase in something like Project A, it will allow for more time to set up across the map and have sort of, bigger team strategies, which of course could impact the, typical things like hearing footsteps because the team may well already be in position. So lots of interesting things to experience when it kind of comes to these different phases in the gameplay modes. Now we take a look at some of the abilities. Of course, there will be different abilities for you to use. Abilities are purchased with currency and depend on the character that you you play. So similar, again, to CS. I mean, there's going to be a lot of like CS comparisons here, but similar to CS, it'll have an economy and abilities that replace utilities such as grenades, smokes, flashes, and incendiaries, and they cost money to purchase them. They're of course money you have at the beginning of the game. We're not talking microtransactions, we're talking, start of the round, buy what you want to use it for the round, that kind of thing. This is of course a good thing because it adds a layer of complexity to competitive play, such as if like a particular ability or a particular round is worth buying or not when your opponents are ahead and your team can't of course afford to purchase abilities and weapons. So there's definitely, lots of layers to that. So it may well be better to risk losing a round in favor of a better chance at the next round when your whole team can buy. Again, if any of you guys play CSGO, then you'll know that as like economy rounds. It also means that there's more in-depth learning for your characters, which abilities are worth buying first, that kind of thing. Talking about some of the ones we know right now, of course, most of the abilities outside of Ultimate seem to be like CC and map control, focusing on like blocking line of sight or controlling certain areas. We know about the wind ball, where you throw a ball of wind that blocks line of sight. We know about the poison wall, which creates a wall that blocks line of sight and potentially damages people when passing through. WTCN also said that you can manually control the wall and change its direction and sort of reshape it, so that's going to be pretty interesting. There's also supposedly a freeze area ability, which will slow down movement. There are some ultimates, such as things like Revive Ultimate, which just looks to be something where you can revive a single team member. And you also have Throwing Knives Ultimate, where you jump in the air and throw 0 recoil knives that appear to one-hit kill. So, plenty of cool things to mess around with, and of course that's just a taste. There'll of course be plenty of more things to look forward to. Now, there may well be ability combos as well between characters, but we'll just have to wait and see. It is also important to note, Henry GCSGO actually said this. He said, or he tweeted, should I say, that you don't need abilities and guns to perform well. So this isn't going to be like predicated on, if you've got the best abilities or you've bought those, then, it's basically GG. He said the game does still have one-hit kills on headshot, like CSGO and Siege, so there is definitely a skill component to this 100%, but if you pair, good skill with good abilities, then obviously it's going to make a big change in battle. WTCN also said that the fight sometimes turns into sort of like a clown fiesta due to so many abilities on screen, like fire, ice, green gas, etc. But obviously keep in mind that in the experience that they had personally, that's more so like a playtest environment, and generally speaking, when you jump on something brand new and you kind of do the playtest stuff, you just try to use as much as possible. It may well transpire that once like the meta settles, so to speak, people get used to the game, you may not see that quite so much, but obviously, at their time testing, that's what they saw a lot. Now, if we move on from there to talk about some of the weapons, worth noting, these are not the official names for the weapons. We're kind of referring to these more so based on what they look like. So there appears to be like an AWP style sniper. There appears to be a rifle that looks much like an AK. There's an SMG that looks like an MP5. There's a pistol that looks like a Colt. There's a shotgun that looks like the XM1014. There's a DMR, which looks like the M14A. There are also melee weapons, like a knife and a sword. The sword was only shown as like an icon on the purchase screen, so haven't actually seen it in gameplay. But again, obviously there are options there. And of course there are no grenades because abilities will replace these. One of the things that we don't know just yet about weapons is whether there are like predetermined spray patterns, again much like in CSGO, things that you have to learn and master. There seem to be conflicting opinions out there from those that playtested it, so I guess for this much we're going to have to kind of wait and see, until we get to go hands-on and actually kind of work this out for ourselves. But either way, something else to think about. Now, a few additional kind of interesting notes from people that have playtested this. WTCN said that the netcode seems to be really good, like really good. Apparently 128 tick rate servers. Of course, whenever you kind of go to test environments, they're typically the best possible setup, but regardless, that's, something really encouraging. The AK-47 is apparently a really powerful weapon, and the flick shots apparently feel amazingly fun. He talks about aim down sights, ADS, and hip fire. During ADS, your aim gets a bit better with better spray control. He said there's a very detailed crosshair editor in game, so of course if you want to like tweak that depending on your personal preferences. If you jump and fire, your aim and accuracy will be lowered. He talks about the knife ultimate character that has like no recoil. He confirmed that there will also be friendly fire, meaning you can kill your teammates. Additional points came from Nuki as well. He confirms that aim punch is in the game, meaning you are slowed down and slightly flinched after being hit by a bullet like in CSGO. Movement is apparently a little bit slower than CSGO, but they may still be looking at tweaking that a little bit. You could also strafe hop, bunny hop, strafe jump, all that kind of stuff you would expect from, these kind of shooters. Pika's advantage is also apparently very minimal from what they've noticed. Apparently, crouch delay is not present, which is a good thing. That's typically where, if you crouch and then you can't see anything, but the enemy can still see you because of the animation delay. Apparently, that is not present, which is obviously a very good thing. And they do believe, from the people that playtested this, they believe they played in a LAN setup. So, of course, it is worth, as mentioned, taking that into account. It's very hard to talk about, actual performance and netcode and stuff like that when you are in like an ideal setup and you're not having to worry about connections and different people from different regions. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff we still have yet to discover. But from what people have initially said from, you know, their time going hands-on and from what we've sort of seen from little like gameplay snippets and trailers, it does look like a really, really cool game. Like really, really interesting. If you like your sort of competitive shooters, but if you like that sort of hero angle, then there's definitely going to be like, you know, some things for you to, you know, to get excited about. And obviously if it does transpire to be true that it does work around the free-to-play model, then it's obviously something that anybody can jump into. So, you know, that's hardly going to be surprising given that, you know, a lot of what Riot does, you know, they've done the whole League of Legends thing around the free-to-play model, so I think that's definitely going to make most sense for them. But either way, that's it for the time being. That is a quick look at like everything we currently have on Project A. Again, as and when the NDA lifts and they're able to kind of talk about more stuff and maybe show some more stuff, then we'll keep you guys up to date. But for the time being, if you want a little catch up, then that is what you need to know about Project A. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.